Hey everybody, one of two podcasts coming at you today. This is an interview with Guenther Steiner. We're very happy to have him on the show. He has a new book out, that's how we managed to get hold of him. The other podcast is myself and Conan and our fearless new producer, Ronan Mullen, his first day in the office. So we go through some of your emails, we bring you up to speed with what is going on in various quarters in the world of sport. New job for Jurgen Klopp included, and that's waiting for you. I guess that's something we might kind of do a bit more often, just come in and chew the fat and go through what's going on a given day and a few emails. And Ronan was there and we said, come on, in you come. So he did. Guenther Steiner. So Guenther Steiner is an interesting character, son of a butcher in Italy. Early 20s, he started out as a mechanic in rallying, World Rally Championships. So he spent the 1980s and the 1990s working his way through various rallying teams, initially as a mechanic and then right away to the top. He was that kind of a talented fella. And in 2001, Nicky Lauda phoned him and said, come and be managing director at Jaguar. And I guess you kind of take that call, don't you? So that was in 2001. He did a period at Red Bull as well. And of course, we would most associate him with Haas, with Team Haas in Formula One. He's been there for the last 10 years. It has been a story of tight budgets. Initially, some quite good years. Did very well in the Constructors' Championships and things were going well. And then more lately, a bit of a struggle post-COVID. Money is a big problem. And then Christmas just gone, he got the dreaded phone call from Gene Haas, the team owner, to tell him, well, you're fired. So that was his Christmas. Since then, he's been doing some commentary on German TV and he's written a book, which is why we're talking to him. It's called Unfiltered, is his new book. The thing about Guenther Steiner, I'm sure you all know this, of course, is that if Netflix had not produced Drive to Survive, most of us would not have a knowledge of him or a feel for him. It's not a remarkable career in terms of results or standing. However, Netflix thankfully did produce Drive to Survive, and Guenther Steiner, I would say by a distance, is the breakout star, pretty much. Brilliant personality, and crucially, somebody who did not give a damn that he was mic'd up and the cameras were following him. And he kind of went a bit supernova. At team appearances, Guenther was receiving bigger cheers than his drivers, which is not really meant to be the way of things. Like I said, new book out, reflecting on his career and life. It's called Unfiltered. We reached out and said, he's a busy man doing lots of interviews. Could he give us some time? So he gives us just over kind of 20 minutes here. It's not enough. As you'll hear, I think, with someone like him, you could do an hour and go very deep on lots of things. We don't quite do that, but we'll bounce along and ask him a couple of questions and see how life is. So Guenther Steiner is on the way. And by the way, listen, I don't know for sure, but I suspect if you have kids in the car, then maybe do the necessary and flick away now, because after all, this is Guenther fucking Steiner.
Fuck. Fourth and fifth, but Gene, we finished fourth and fifth here. We fucking look like rock stars, huh? And now we are a fucking bunch of wankers. Yeah, bunch of fucking clowns here. The car was not a piece of shit. So why did we develop a car which fucking goes slower? Find out the problem and make progress out of it instead of this is better. It isn't this is better. It fucking isn't. He's not fucking doing that to me, He does not fuck smash my door. Tell him that. How many assistants have you got, Fred? I have nobody because I have no money. And you've got 3 people running around you. Another one coming. It's 4 now. You're so stupid.
Guenther Steiner, a very warm welcome to Indo Sport. Fantastic to have you on. Hello.
Hello. Thank you. Thanks for having me. Some of the things I never watched Drive to Survive and I didn't hear it. So some of the things are completely new to me. And by the way, that wasn't me. That was somebody else.
No.
Voiceover.
If your daughter is listening, that was not me.
Yeah. For sure she listened to it, but I think even she's embarrassed about it, so she doesn't say anything.
There is a moment in the book where you've had a big meeting with somebody and Gertie, your wife, says, how did it go? And you say, quite well, by the look on your face, she says. And you say, I can't say for sure, but I think I might be onto something. This guy knows his stuff. Is he rich though? Says Gertie. Rich? He's literally shitting fucking dollars. She says, Guenther! And you say, sorry. And you write, I'm not supposed to swear when I'm at home.
Correct. I'm not. I get always told off, and I never ask my wife what she thinks about Drive to Survive, because that is one of the reasons I don't watch it, because guess what? I don't want an answer because she's not happy about it. But she watched it, but she knows me anyway, so.
The end at Haas, I know you've talked about it quite a bit, but people might be interested. You say, so this is Christmas, and you're standing at the deli counter staring at a nice-looking piece of ham, when all of a sudden my phone started ringing. It was Jean. When you saw Jean pop up on your phone as you're looking at that piece of ham, were you anticipating a call to end your contract?
No, not really anticipating, but the relationship was tense already. So I wasn't anticipating, but I was not surprised that he didn't want to renew the contract, because neither I wanted to renew it for another 3 years, you know. So it was actually not too bad for me. Actually, it was pretty good for me not to have renewed. I feel happy now.
You said the phone call was maybe 6 or 7 minutes, and so you answered the phone, and he says to you, "Why do you think we've been doing so badly, Guenther?" And you sort of say, "Oh, Gene, we've been through this a million times," and you have the same conversation about money and a lack of an investment, and the team is worth $1 billion, and you got to put more into it, and you have that conversation, and then he says, "Anyway, Guenther, your contract is up for renewal. I've decided not to renew it," and you say, "Okay, Gene, fine with me," and you hang up. Look, I know it's a cutthroat business. That is not the way to fire someone after 10 years.
No, it's obviously, but in the end, that's Gene Haas, in the end, he can do it. He doesn't want to renew it. And, it was no point to fight it, because I was not unhappy about it, not to have the contract renewed. Obviously, as you say, these things, normal, civilized people do it differently. You work together, or somebody works for you for 10 years, creates you a good business, a good base of business, good money, a good increase or a good investment, a growth, and then to do this. But hey, I cannot change people. I don't want to change people. I don't need to change people. I realized afterwards, I'm free. I can move on. I can do things which I like. I'm a happy man. I've got a good family. I'm not doing too badly, and I do things which I enjoy. So, that's it. It was more like, when you work with a team for 10 years, you would like to have the chance to say thank you to the team and give them a goodbye. I mean, that was harder for me, not having the chance even, somebody this disrespectful, not even giving a chance to do that. But hey, it's him. I mean, at some stage he will find out that it wasn't the right thing to do, but maybe, I don't know. But anyway.
Yes.
So be it.
Have you spoken to him since?
No, and I don't want to.
Do you? I know you're enjoying your freedom, and maybe you don't miss the stress of the job, which we'll talk about in a moment. But that said, do you feel a bitterness towards him?
No, I don't feel bitterness. I'm not a bitter guy. I feel like, it's I had a good time. I don't regret anything. I'm not bitter. I mean, obviously, you maybe know that I fight a lawsuit against him because he doesn't want to pay me the money. I think I am owed due to my contract, which he signed, Anyway, he filed a lawsuit against me about my first book, which obviously, maybe as well, was dismissed by the judge, wasn't even taken on. No, I don't feel bitter. I just want, what is right. I want, and I try to get it. But I'm not losing any sleep over it.
You live in North Carolina, and your wife Gertie says to you at one stage in the book, shortly after the phone call from Gene Haas, "I haven't seen you like this in years." Like what? You have a spring in your step, like you used to have.
Yeah, I'm always a guy which I look always forward to the next thing, always motivated with energy. And the last 2 years were just like, to explain it, I think can explain it like this. When you're in Formula One, you set up a team. The first years were pretty good. We finished 8 and 8, and then the third year, 5th, which was very good. Then we went a little bit backward, and then COVID came, and all went downhill from there. So, and after a while, it's like, do I really want to work, And it was always, oh, can we make a point? We made a point. And it's like, yeah, we made a point 6, 7 years ago. What is next? I mean, I cannot chase a point for the next 10 years. I mean, that is not what I want to do. I want more. I want a bigger challenge than chasing a point. But I need some help to do this. I cannot do it on my own with the investment which is there. I need to grow the company. I need to grow the quality, everything of the team. And that was not given to me. And now, but and drags you down because you know what you should be doing, but you cannot do it. It's like you're doing a podcast and your producer doesn't give you a microphone. How the hell should you do a podcast? It's about like this. And we got points, but it's like always, hooray, we made a point. Yeah, great. Great. I mean, and you just realize it when you're gone, but that is what it is. I can now do things I like to do. I've got always a lot of ideas what to do. And, I'm free. That's the best thing. I can decide what I do. I don't have to wait for anybody or ask anybody what to do.
When are you starting your podcast?
I've got one already. 1 hours in the States, so you should listen into it, Yeah.
Are you itching to get back into Formula One? Would you like another offer? Does some part of you miss the adrenaline that only a job like that can give you?
A little bit, you miss the adrenaline. Good that you bring that one up. You miss a little bit, like when the cars are going out for qualifying. But it's okay. I was there. It's not like, oh, I cannot live without this. No, it's good. I can live without it. Do I want to get in? If the right opportunity comes, if a project comes along where I can see that I can achieve, or that we can achieve, not me as a person, the team can achieve something, what I want to achieve, it is aligned. Yes, I'm open to it, but just to go and do a job, no need for it. Just to do a job to get the point now and then, I've done that.
Like most people, I've watched a fair portion of Drive to Survive. I don't like many of the drivers. They are young in the worst way. They have huge egos. They are selfish. They are far too rich. They are far too famous. I just can't warm to a lot of them. You have to handle a lot of these people. I'd be interested in your impressions of them, these young men in these unbelievably privileged positions, and the types of personalities who tend to make it as Formula One drivers, because a huge part of your job is to handle them.
Yeah. I think some of them, and as I said, I didn't watch Drive Survive, so I don't know how they come over, but a lot of them, I think, come over because they are in public different than they are in reality. Obviously, some of them believe their own propaganda. Some of them are actually very down-to-earth people, which I would say is not even playing. They have to play this role of being what they should be, because it is demanded from the outside world that if you are a young, successful, rich, good-looking driving an F1 car, because there's only 20, this is what you should be, and obviously, and I think some of them are actually very normal people, and they are happy to be very normal people. Some of them, you hear this often, no, Formula One is too hard, it's too much work, and then once they go away, all of a sudden they miss it, because they cannot do anything else without it. That's their problem then, and then they fall in a hole. But I think most of the latest ones coming up, they are surrounded by good people, which bring them along to be good human beings, because that is very important in life. Obviously, as you say, they get more money than they ever thought they will make, most of them, so it is a very difficult position to be in.
Yes, I'll bet it is. Who are some of the more down-to-earth, likeable drivers? I know it doesn't have to be an exhaustive list, but who jumped to your mind when you said that?
I mean, Kevin Magnus is a very normal person. He can be very, have very short words when he talks to media, but he's a very normal person, loves his family. He doesn't love anything more than going back to his family. A lot of them, Danny Rick, we all know that he's a very normal person. When he gets to it, he's up for every funny thing to do. There is, a lot of them are pretty normal.
Okay. Yeah, it could be the portrayal.
The portrayal, right? That's the right word for it. The portrayal, and what the public actually want them to be as well.
Yes, we want James Hunt. It's sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Rock and roll, yeah. We want rock and roll.
I know you weren't there back in the day, but has that aspect of the circuit changed? That Playboy Eddie Irvine parties around, at different wherever the races are on, have things calmed down in that respect? Is it a more professional environment, or is there still that element of hedonistic partying that goes hand in hand with the sport?
No, I think Eddie was the last, as you rightly said. Eddie was the last of them, last of that generation. I don't think you could do it these days anymore. What these guys did, with all the social media and all that stuff, it's just difficult to do. And also, the sport has become a lot more professional.
Sure.
Is that good? Yes. Is it good for entertainment? Maybe not. We all like a little bit of rock and roll, or not all of us. I shouldn't speak for everyone, but I quite like it, So it's quite entertaining. So rock and roll these days is different. But no, it has changed. It's just not there anymore. And with 24 races, you couldn't even behave like this anymore, just because of your physical state to do this.
I would think it's a very common question. We mentioned you were coming on the podcast, and listeners emailed in different questions, and quite a few of them wanted us to ask you, if all of the cars were the same, then across a full season, who's the best driver in Formula One currently? Who would come out on top?
I think on top, and it's now, you would have race-specific strength, but in general, if you take an average, I think in the moment, Max would be very strong. Max is very good. Max is a real racer. He can drive a car, difficult cars to drive. So I think Max will come out pretty strong.
I'm very curious. When you're judging who the best driver is, can you do it with your eyes? So, I mean, I judge it by looking at the clock, and I'm totally reliant on what they've done in terms of their times. But can you just watch a driver going around the circuit and not see any data and just see it and smell it and know that he's fast?
I have to say, be honest, I say no, because I think it is so close, because they are all very talented. And, you see more of if a car is good or not, if the car has traction or not, out of a corner, that's what you watch. But with the driver, you have to be careful, because they are so close together. When we are talking tens of seconds over a lap of almost 1.5 minutes, if somebody says, you can see how somebody attacks the corner or not, because there is no fool anymore in Formula One at the moment. They are so close together if you think about it. So for me, I couldn't do that. I do not think that there's many people around which could do that. Actually, just by watching it, saying this guy is talented and this guy isn't, so, because they're all very good in F1.
You've been in Formula One since 2001, since you joined Jaguar. In those 23 years, who do you think has been the most talented driver that you've seen?
I think one of the biggest talents was Michael Schumacher in that period. Michael was Lewis is very talented as well. Lewis Hamilton, he's very talented. I mean, they all, it goes in eras, and an era in F1 is not 20 or 30 years. It's normally 5 to 10 years for a driver. And in this era, Michael was good. Would Michael be as good in the new era or in the era when Lewis was strong? Maybe not, because the cars change, and, because Lewis now is struggling a little bit with Max Verstappen, to be honest, with the new generation, because there's a different era now coming in, but Lewis is very good as well. He wasn't, is still good.
So would drivers today have different attributes to what Schumacher had?
A little bit, I would say yes, but the cars advance so much, and the controls are so much more sophisticated, and you just need to know exactly what to do with the car. And sometimes drivers, if they grow up in one area with one type of car, with driver 8 and something, they know that era very well. And when they have to change, they struggle to go into the next one, and we will have that one maybe when 26, the new rules come. The young drivers maybe pick that one up better than the old ones.
Have you ever driven a Formula One car around a track?
No.
Why not?
I think I couldn't do it. I don't want to do it. I would embarrass myself more than anything else.
Just when no one's looking on a late Thursday evening,
there's always somebody looking when an F1 car is going around the racetrack. So no, and I don't know if I could even fit in it. I'm quite tall.
It's interesting you haven't watched much Drive to Survive. I was reading, I think it was you made the point, that about 50% of the current Formula One audience globally is as a result of Drive to Survive, which is absolutely extraordinary. And we've seen so many other sports hoping that Netflix will have a similar effect on their sport, golf and others, and it hasn't. Something about Drive to Survive, maybe it's because it was first, maybe, I think in part, characters like you just helped it land with people. When did you realise, was there a moment or a certain race where you thought to yourself, I seem to be very popular here today?
Yeah, when it came out, it started pretty quick. It wasn't what it is now, but it started pretty quick when people start to recognize you. Because before, yeah, the fan recognized you, but it was like, hey, this is Guenther Steiner. But then when it came out, it started pretty quick that people wanted selfies and things like this. And there where I saw that it actually had a good success.
Did you like it? Some people don't want fame. Did you think I enjoy this?
I don't dislike it, but it's not something. If it isn't there, I'm fine as well. It's not something because I didn't work for this. Some people like it because they worked for this to be famous. I didn't do it because to be famous. I did it because I like for Formula One racing. But you get there and you can anyway not stop it once it is out. So it's better to get along with it and you work with it and get the best out of it than try to fight it and running around with a hoodie on all the time and stuff like this, because then you are paranoid. I try to be as normal as I can, and if somebody wants a selfie, so be it. It's fine,
Because I think, we were laughing here yesterday when we were just reminiscing about it, and in light of talking to you, and people were saying they could always relate to you, for instance, when you would, after a bad day, and you'd say, oh shit, I have to talk to Gene. And people understand that feeling. But it was really remarkable, I thought, that your conversations with Gene went out on Drive to Survive. Obviously, we couldn't hear what he was saying, but you were mic'd up. You mightn't have been in vision, but your conversation was recorded because the microphone lapel was on. Did you tend to forget that was being recorded, those moments?
Absolutely. Yeah, I tend to forget pretty quick, these things, and because I had it on so many times. And I must give credit to the people at Box to Box, which do the filming for Netflix. They were always fair, because I think I say sometimes I say things where you really shouldn't put on TV. So and as I said, I had always somebody, because you can check it before it goes out, and I had always our head of communication doing it. So sometimes he said, Guenther, I had to take a few bits out because that wouldn't have been good,
Okay.
So you always had that chance. But when it's on, you think, yeah, I just do my job. If they want to hear it, fine,
Yeah, which is great. It's what makes it really work. The championship currently, I know you're doing some work with RTL, some commentary on German television. We have the United States Grand Prix next. That's on the horizon. It's kind of interesting at the moment. There are 6 races left, and 7 races into the season, Max Verstappen had won 5 of them. And I'll be honest, me and a lot of people watching thought, oh no, here we go again, another dull season. And yet he now hasn't won in 8 races. And I guess Lando Norris is within touching distance, still a bit behind, 52 points. Have we got a title race here, or is Verstappen going to be fine?
We got a title race. I think Lando will make it. They are doing very well. McLaren is strong, and as you said, who would have expected after the first 5 races that what the last 5 races will be? I think Lando will make it. That's my opinion. But obviously, Max will fight for it. That he takes the title home, and he's already strategically working. He's not trying to win the race at all costs. He tries to get as many points at all costs. So it will be hopefully quite tight, and hopefully goes into the last race.
It is amazing how this sport goes. Verstappen was talking about what's happened over the last couple of months, and just the kind of the technical aspects of the sport. So he said, our car's just been very difficult to drive. And at the same time, the others have made progress. And he was talking about how the front and the rear of the car were not feeling connected anymore. And interestingly, he was saying maybe our wind tunnel that we use at Red Bull is a little bit outdated. I mean, it's mad, the factors that come into it, that suddenly everything's lovely and then the front and the back of the car aren't connected. I mean, I can see how team principals go berserk.
Yeah, this car, they are so sophisticated, and the tools used to develop these cars are so sophisticated. So every little bit what somebody has better than the other one helps to make the difference. But I go back to normally now between the fastest and the slowest car, it's a second, it's a second. There's a different driver in there. There's a complete different people made the car, and you've got a second of difference over a 1 minute and 20 seconds lap. It's nothing. It's nothing if you think how much is a second. And then between the first and the second, there is a tenth, or not even that one, a tenth of a second. That is nothing. That is meters, not even meters anymore. So, it's so competitive, and every little bit makes a difference.
It strikes me Formula One was a little bit unlucky as well. I mean, it's good that you think Lando is really going to push Verstappen here, because if you think of Saudi Arabia in 21, Verstappen against Hamilton, it was this extraordinary crescendo finale to a season. And the whole world, I think, was ready to just go Formula One nuts. And then we had 2 years of Verstappen cruising. It was terrible timing in a way for 2 seasons like that. I think everyone is itching for another race.
Yeah, I mean, as you say, and you never can predict what is happening next. I mean, this year, 7 different drivers won races. Think about that one. 4 different manufacturers won races. You know, it's something last year at this time, nobody would have ever dreamt of it. It was a dream, but nobody thought the dream will come true, and the dream came true.
Yes. Last one, if you could change anything about Formula One to make it more entertaining, to make it more popular, what would you change?
In the moment, I wouldn't change anything big. I would maybe add a few more sprint races, you know, from 6 to 12 maybe, the next point, because I think free practices are not what people want to see in 2024 or 2025 anymore. They want to see competition, to fight for something. That's my thing. All the rest, I think it's in a very good place, Formula One. FOM does a very good job, and the next thing is to stabilize the sport where it is now with the spectators, because that's difficult to do as well, because it had a boom, and, you know, hopefully it doesn't go down, but I think it's in a good place, actually. The bubble will not explode, in my opinion. They are very clever people which manage that one, but otherwise I think it's a good place. If I would say do something, let's go from 6 to 12 on sprint races.
Okay. And hopefully we might see you back in a paddock someday soon.
Thank you very much.
No, thank you. Guenther, it was great talking to you. It's the book again is Unfiltered. You didn't curse once in the entire interview. Gertie will be very pleased with you, so that's good.
I normally don't in interviews, you know. That is just my racing language, the cursing.
Good man. Well, listen, lovely to talk to you. Guenther Steiner, thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
There you go, Guenther Steiner. Lovely fella. Great to have him on. His new book out is called Unfiltered. That is us done for today. There's another podcast in your feed from today, just going through the day's sports news and a couple of emails and different bits and bobs. And we'll see you tomorrow. We have Owen Redden on the show tomorrow. Very happy to say, brilliant rugby brain alongside Rory O'Connor. So high time we talked a bit of rugby ahead of 75,000 and counting at Croke Park this Saturday for Leinster Munster. So we'll talk to you then.